All right, so we're going to talk about natural selection. So, natural selection versus artificial selection. Artificial selection is controlled by humans, where they choose the traits that they want when they breed. Natural selection is the survival of the fittest, so something that is fit basically is able to survive the best. So, fitness is the ability to survive so you can reproduce. And so, when nature selects, they're just selecting for the ones that are able to survive the most or the best, so that they can have children or offspring. So there's no human control. We don't select for the cutest. We just select for the fittest. So the only way the natural selection works is if you have variation. And just remember the attributes or the phenotypes, the physical trait of the organism is what is acted upon. So now we all know that phenotypes are a result of genotypes, or the genes that an organism has, and so those genes can be passed on to the offspring. So that advantage might be passed on to the offspring. You need variation, because if everybody's all the same, then there's no variation. There's nothing to select for, right? You either all die and survive, or you all die, or you all survive, because you have the same adaptations or the same traits. Here we show beak shape adaptations. So Darwin uses finches to kind of show adaptations or survival of the fittest. So you can see that we have different types of beaks. Now we believe they all came from the same ancestors, but you can see how the beak size and shape varies on the food that it needs to gather, right? And so, due to random mutation, these beaks have changed over time, so that they're best suited for their environment. So, what is survival of the fittest? So, fitness is the ability of an organism to survive and reproduce. So, this is a good example of a natural selection. So, here we have variation of giraffe. So, you have a short giraffe, a tall giraffe. Here. Then the next thing you need is competition. So here they're competing over food. And so the better adapted members survive. So here you can see the taller giraffes are able to eat the food, whereas the other giraffe, the smaller giraffe, isn't able to reach those leaves. And so giraffe goes away, and the larger giraffe passes on their tall genes to their kids. And so pretty soon the population will change where you have tall giraffes. Here's another example with camouflage. So you have light-colored mice and dark-colored mice. You can see the background is dark, so the dark-colored mice are going to survive better than the light-colored mice. And so pretty soon, after a generation or two, they're mostly dark-colored mice. There are 4 requirements for natural selection. One is variation, so there needs to be differences in the population so that we can select for different things. Those variations need to be heritable, meaning they have to be passed on through genes. You have to have overpopulation, meaning you have to have competition. So competition might be a better word. So basically you have to compete for a resource. If there's no competition, then everybody survives, and so therefore nothing is being selected for. And then reproductive advantage, the fact that the people who survive, organisms who survive, can pass on that advantage to their offspring. So here are some examples of variation. So you can see that there's different variations within these fish. Hemophilia example is something that is heritable. Most phenotypes are heritable because they have a genotype, right? Here we have overpopulation, so you can see all these deer here, and so you can imagine that if you had very few deer, then there's enough resources to go around, so even the ones that are not as fit, they can still survive. So you need overpopulation so that it will select for those habitats. And then the reproductive advantage, here we see that here are peppered moths. We have light and dark, and you can see how during the Industrial Revolution a lot of these birch trees were darker, And so the dark colored moths had a reproductive advantage. Why? Because they were more camouflaged.